turned down his request for money.
He would have an argument with his mother. He would come down and initiate arsons on people who may have turned him down for funds at one time or another in the Rockaway area.
Indeed, it seems the arsons at clearly Jewish targets were not bias crimes at all.
He has a great affinity toward the Jewish community. In fact, when he would set these fires, he frequently wear a yarmulke, just out of whatever persuasion that provided him with.
Peter Roth is the vice president of one of the synagogues hit.
I was expecting that when they caught the guy, he'd be some kind of like hardcore neo-Nazi type. And I saw this guy when they brought him out today. He just looks like a real sad, Schlemieli type of case.
If we were able to remove that fear of bias, that we in our community have a situation where people are violent because of a biased situation, if this was eliminated, it certainly makes us feel very, very much more comfortable.
Yeah, that was Rabbi Reiner. He had given money to Bebek in the past. When he stopped giving money, Bebek allegedly began to harass the rabbi. Police investigating that harassment elicited Bebek's confession for the arsons today. Reporting live in Far Rockaway, Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Some responsible for setting fires at Jewish institutions in Rockaway, Queens, but they say bias was not the motive. They described the suspect, 39-year-old Brian Bebek, as a panhandler who was mad because he was turned down when he begged at the places he torched. The latest blaze was this past weekend at a synagogue. Police believe Bebek may be responsible for as many as 16 arson fires.
A fast-moving fire.
Queens say they have caught the man who spread hate and fear by setting synagogues on fire. Glenn Thompson is live right now in Rockaway with the very latest on this story for us. Glenn.
Well, Katie, this historic synagogue was one of the last to be torched back in April. It was also one of the first to be torched in July of last year. And you can see some of the extensive damage that's been done here. Well, tonight, an intensive arson investigation has finally paid off, and police say they have their man. This is the arsonist who's terrorized the Jewish community in Rockaway, Queens, according to police. Brian James Bebek has been charged in connection with 8 suspicious fires at synagogues and a kosher market on the Rockaway Peninsula dating back to July of last year.
He's being charged with 7 counts each of arson in the 3rd degree and reckless endangerment in the 1st degree, and 1 count of attempted arson in the 3rd degree.
Bebek was arrested at his mother's Brooklyn home, where he admitted to detectives that he set the fires. Police say they received their biggest break this week when they learned that Bebek had been making harassing phone calls to one of the synagogues and demanding money. They say Bebek frequently was given handouts from several synagogues.
He made several $100s a week, basically, by soliciting funds from the institutions here, but occasionally he would be turned down. And when he did, and he had a disagreement with his mother, he would vent his disagreement by setting these fires.
Rabbi Jacob Reiner received more than 100 harassing calls from Bebek.
I mean, he was angry because we didn't have money available for him, and that's the way he reacted in anger, with harassment. He called the office, he called my home. There was one night that I wasn't able to sleep.
Detectives say that despite outward appearances, this wasn't a bias crime. They say, in fact, Bebek may have had a Jewish father and was sympathetic to Jews. They say he even wore a yarmulke while setting the fires. While his motives may not be clear, the damage is very apparent.
On one hand, very sad, everybody disturbed, but on the other hand, it did give a certain flourishment to the community in its determination to survive and to carry on.
Now, Bebek now faces up to 15 years in prison on each of the arson charges against him. Jewish leaders tonight are hoping that his arrest will finally bring an end to their nightmare. We're live in Far Rockaway. I'm Glenn Thompson. Let's go back to Jack in the studio.
Glenn, thank you for that report. Police shot and killed an arsonist in Queens. 39-year-old Brian James Bebek was arrested Thursday. Police say he's responsible for setting a string of fires in synagogues and Jewish establishments in the Rockaways. The most recent one occurred this past Saturday. Police say the fires weren't bias crimes. Bebek was on good terms with local rabbis who helped him out financially. Sometimes it wasn't enough.
For the past number of years, he has on occasion come for a charitable contribution. He was a person who was obviously in need, and we would help him with a check or with cash, whatever was available at a particular time. But when he would come in quick succession, we weren't always able to satisfy him, and he would become very, very angry, and he would respond with harassment, with phone calls.
tip led police to Burbeck's apartment, where he confessed to setting the fires. He's charged with 7 counts of arson and 1 count of attempted arson, each one